Hello, my name is Danny Hull, current captain on the 756 fleet with United Airlines. I'm a flight evaluator and line check pilot. Today, I want to talk to you about something that directly impacts every pilot's safety, proficiency, and long-term success: the need for robust, high-quality UPRT embedded early in a pilot's development. Prior to my current role at United, I held numerous positions within flight standards, flight training, and also the Aviate program. While I was with Aviate, I led a team of professionals that stood up the Aviate Academy. One of our charges from Scott Kirby at the time was to create a UPRT program that was second to none and world-class. And we were looking out in the industry and the community for which company would provide that. We ran into our good friends out at APS, and we ultimately contracted with APS. We're going to circle back to that training program and that footprint and how I believe, regardless of pride and ownership, I believe that that footprint should be the model moving forward. For today's discussion, my goal is to explain where we are today as a country. We're gonna tighten this up, control the scope just to the United States. But I want to talk about where we are today, what is available to us today, why current training, which is limited, is not enough or transferable, and then what our path forward should be as a community and as an industry. So where are we now? I think the data from the NTSB paints a very clear picture. Approximately 43% of instructional-related accidents are caused by loss of control in flight. Because of this, the NTSB has made numerous recommendations throughout the years to increase increased and specialized UPRT training from the early stages of pilot training. However, and despite this, the FAA does not mandate comprehensive UPRT at the flight school level. So what is currently out there? On the left side of the slide, we talk about, quote, majority of flight schools. Really, that should say a limited amount of flight schools that have something that they call, quote, UPRT. In reality, like I said, limited. The ones that do have that, which is limited, they have programs that are inconsistent, insufficient, and not transferable to what is required later at the mandated airline level. Majority of pilots still graduate with little or no all attitude and transferable upset recovery skill. I'm going to quote something that I'll use again, and that is, we continue to train pilots for today's check ride, not for tomorrow's airplane. However, the training provider that we use at Aviate, we now have a proven product over the past, since we stood up the Aviate Academy, since late, I believe, 2021. We now have a proven product through the Aviate Academy training provider. That training provider will release a study, hopefully next month. I'm not at liberty to discuss and disclose all of the details. However, one detail that I am at liberty to disclose, and one that's extremely important, is part of that study, they found that a greater than 400% in UPRT preparedness from students that from their initial assessment till after they finish their UPRT training. I think that in and of itself is a proven model, and that shows results. Those results are also transferable to Part 121, since the program is a collaboration with United Airlines, and it is meant to start the student pilot at the Aviate Academy from day one until through graduation. They are inundated and immersed in United's procedures. We all know, however, that a good program is dependent on the instructor training and the quality control. If we take a step back and we look at the current limited UPRT training programs out there, another major gap is instructor qualification and oversight. Like I said, even the schools that offer the quote UPRT, the instructors teaching it often have no formal all attitude UPRT qualification. They do not receive standardized recurrent training or are evaluated against any type of national standard. They teach only what they have learned, often limited to stall practice and basic unusual attitudes. This creates a cycle where untrained instructors produce unprepared students who eventually become instructors themselves, further weakening the training system. Without regulation, standardization, or quality control, UPRT quality varies dramatically from school to school, yet every school is preparing the same pilots who could eventually fly the traveling public. So let's circle back to a question or to a word that we used and form it in the way of a question. That is it transferable? Is the current UPRT programs, are they transferable to the mandated airline level UPRT? Meaning, if we teach these skills early, do they genuinely carry forward into a pilot future flying, or to the airlines? And unfortunately, the answer is a definitive no. Only a truly dedicated UPRT program is 100% transferable while also providing the clear return on safety. The problem is straightforward, and like I said earlier, we continue to train pilots for today's check ride and not for tomorrow's airplane. A dedicated form of UPRT training that mirrors what we have at the Aviate Academy is the true path forward and the gold standard. So what does that look like? Where do we go? That gold standard is not a guesswork. It's already been proven and is effective. It creates consistency, standardization, transfer of skill across all pilot certificates that mitigates the number one leading cause of fatal training and airline accidents. Currently at the Aviate Academy, the training footprint includes multiple targeted ground lessons, all attitude flights, 3 all attitude flights. I think that 3 is the bare minimum. 3+ flights would be something a goal to shoot for as a gold standard. We provide a structured simulator session tailored to the pilot's desired outcomes, standardized instructor training, and quality control to ensure and limit, or hopefully eliminate, instructor drift. And all of this is fully transferable and aligned with the Part 121 UPRT requirements. This is what effective UPRT training looks like. So with that in mind, now when we look to the future in 2026, how do we achieve these goals? Well, we need to establish goals. And right now our 2026 goals are as follows. First, UPRTA flight school guidance mandating UPRT training that is transferable throughout different certificates, developing valuable habit patterns and safety critical competencies that mitigate operational risk at flight schools and beyond. By creating national standards mandating meaningful UPRT at the primary training level, we reinforce standards in all attitude flying, transferable recovery strategies, and continuity across every certificate and rating. And like we said earlier, a good program is further reinforced by adequately and standardized instructor quality and instructor training. So we need to standardize instructor qualification and recurrent training in the UPRT space. UPRT instructors must receive formal training, evaluation, and recurrent standardization, not simply rely on legacy habits. We need to promote the transferability of the information across the training pipeline, where every pilot progresses from student through CFI through Part 21 with the same recovery strategy Same concepts and same habit patterns, giving the necessary return on investment in pilot training and safety. And hopefully all of these are real, measurable outcomes. And by elevating our training to a higher level, we can achieve a noticeable decrease in loss of control and flight fatalities. We can better prepare our pilots and our instructors. We create a stronger safety culture and establish a generation of pilots who graduate already aligned with airline level expectations. It's not just better training, it's life-saving training. So in conclusion, and to summarize, we all know we need to admit that the number one leading cause of instructional fatalities is loss of control in flight. We need to accept it. We need to put forth steps to mitigate that. We need flight schools, practices. We need to admit that they're not enough. We need to take on the training footprint that we discussed earlier. One gold standard and one example would be what we had down at Aviate Academy. We need to beef up, and we need instructor quality control to not be inconsistent and or just non-existent. By 2026, we can implement standardized transferable UPRT nationwide and meaningfully reduce loss of control in flight. Our students deserve better, our instructors deserve support, and the flying public deserves pilots who are fully prepared to recognize, prevent, and recover from an upset event. UPRT isn't an enhancement, it's a necessity, and it needs to start at the very beginning of pilot training. Thank you for your time. We look forward to your questions at the end of the event.